Hello everyone, I am Dr. Gauri Paramasivam from Department of Pediatric Dentistry Hospital Ipoh. My topic for today is the Odyssey of an odontogenic cyst. These are my table of contents. Odontogenic keratosis is the cyst arising from the cell rest of dental lamina. It can occur anywhere in the jaw but commonly affects the posterior mandible. It appears as isolated solitary lesion. However, when multiple presentations are encountered, every effort should be made to rule out the possible underlying undiagnosed conditions. My case is regarding an 11-year-old Malay boy who was presented to our department in year 2018 complaining of slow growing swelling at right cheek for 3 months duration. The swelling was associated with dull localized pain. Patient was asthmatic with insignificant family history. Extraoral examination revealed a firm swelling measuring 4 times 4 cm on right maxilla, which was tender on palpation. Overlying skin was normal in color. Intraoral examination showed buccal bone expansion from 5-3 to 1-6 region, which was tender on palpation. Overlying mucosa was normal in color, and patient had mixed dentition with mobile 5-3 and 5-4. As for radiographic examination, OPG revealed a well-defined unilocular radiolucency expanding from mesial of unerupted 1-4 to distal of 1-7, displacing the tooth 1-5 superiorly close to right infraorbital region. CT phase was taken to delineate the expansion of lesion at right maxilla. It revealed the lesion protruding high up into right maxillary sinus with presence of tooth 1-5 within the lesion. At this stage, our differential diagnoses were right maxillary dentigerous cyst or odontogenic keratosis at right maxilla. Incisional biopsy and decompression was then done under GA. HPE result was inconclusive. It was reported as odontogenic cyst or tumor. This is an intraoperative view showing 1-5 attached superiorly at maxillary sinus. These intraoperative pictures showing resultant cavity packed with bead pack and subsequent closure of the cavity. Patient was monitored 1 month, 3 months and 6 months post-operatively. This is the pre-op OPG showing the initial size of lesion at right maxilla. Comparing to the 6 months post-op OPG, there's a significant reduction in size of lesion at right maxilla. Tooth 1-5 has come down and is at mesial to 1-6. Along with this finding, there was also a new lesion found at right mandible. It is a well-defined unilocular radiolucency displacing crown of 4-8. Surgical enucleation, curettage, peripheral ostectomy of right maxilla and mandible was then done under GA with simultaneous removal of 1-5, 4-7 and 4-8. HPE confirmed OKC on both right maxilla and mandible. This is an intraoperative view of right maxilla following enucleation of cyst together with removal of 1-5. The clean base of resultant cavity is able to visualize from this picture. The picture on left depicts the uncovered lesion exposing the cystic lining at right mandible. Picture on right exhibit the resultant cavity following enucleation of the cyst along with removal 4-7 and 4-8. Due to multiple OKCs, Golin-Gott syndrome was suspected. As per the advice from radiologist, a repeat CT phase together with CT brain was done to rule out any pathology involving brain and skull. We also wanted to check if there's any new developing lesion. As predicted, we found a new developing lesion lingual to 3-8 tooth bud as shown in the CT image. Interestingly, this new lesion on left mandible was completely obscured in OPG. Other lesions at right maxilla and mandible were healing well. A similar operative procedure involving surgical enucleation, curettage, peripheral ostectomy of left mandible was done under GA together with removal of 3-7 and 3-8. Diagnosis of Golin-Gott syndrome is established based on major and minor diagnostic criteria. It requires 2 major or 1 major and 2 minor criteria. In my case, patient had 4 major and 2 minor criteria as follows. The arrow shows calcification of Fox cerebri. Medulloblastoma and bridging of sella turcica were ruled out from CT brain. Patient also had bifid splayed ribs, palmar pitting, hypertelorism, frontal bossing, and pectus excavatum. Since patient fits into the criteria of Golin-Gott syndrome, he was kept under close surveillance due to high recurrence rate of OKC. To further provide a holistic approach in the management of Golin-Gott syndrome, patient was also referred to dermatology department due to high preponderance in developing basal cell carcinoma. He was also referred to geneticists for genetic testing to further confirm the diagnosis and counseling. Moving on to discussion, the Golin-Gott syndrome is a rare autosomal dominant disorder caused due to mutations in the PTCH1 gene. It is known as nevoid basal cell carcinoma syndrome or basal cell nevus syndrome or Golin syndrome. Golin-Gott syndrome shows a predisposition to neoplasms and other developmental abnormalities. The prevalence of this syndrome is 1 to 60,000 with no gender predilection. Golin-Gott syndrome represents its signs in the first or second decades of life, which mainly includes multiple OKCs. These OKCs, being the common feature of Golin-Gott syndrome, are found in 65 to 100% of affected individuals. Clinically, OKC is characterized by aggressive growth and has high recurrence rate following surgical treatment. It has been suggested the recurrence rate of 63% in keratosis associated to the syndrome and 37% in isolated cases. Its high potential of recurrence is justified by the occurrence of satellite or daughter cysts, incomplete removal of cyst lining, and by the high mitotic epithelial activity. Treatment for Golin-Gott syndrome involve a therapeutic approach to its clinical findings. For OKC in children, conservative management such as enucleation or marsupialization is recommended. Marsupialization followed by enucleation is suitable for large or multiple OKCs. It also helps in preserving the vital structures surrounding the cyst. Decompression technique is anticipated to reduce the size of large lesion to facilitate ease of future surgical enucleation. In this case, a 9 months of decompression not only resulted in the significant reduction in size, but also enhanced the favorable movement of tooth 1-5 inferiorly. The injury to infraorbital nerve was avoidable. Hence, this 9 months of decompression period was a worthwhile attempt to produce a positive outcome. Life expectancy in Golin-Gott syndrome is not significantly altered, but morbidity from complications can be substantial. Therefore, regular follow-up and treatment for sequelae of Golin-Gott syndrome require a multidisciplinary approach. Patients must be advised to avoid excessive sun exposure since they are prone to develop basal cell carcinoma. In conclusion, Golin-Gott syndrome should always be suspected in multiple OKCs at young age. Diagnosis and treatment should be made at the earliest as the patient is susceptible to neoplastic changes. Hence, patients with Golin-Gott syndrome must endure a lifelong odyssey of close surveillance to prevent serious complications. These are my references. With that, thank you.